Welcome to the HC Leadership Podcast, Forged in Fire, Led with Purpose, formerly known as the Heat of Command. We're here to explore what it takes to lead courageously authentic. From the fireground, battlefield, ballfield, classroom, or boardroom, we bring you real conversations to inspire, challenge, and drive change. Here are your hosts, Kyle Matusik and me, Carrie Henderson.
Got that? You opening on this one?
No,
Do you want me to hit?
I got that.
You already got that?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, TEEX, and everyone out there in HC Leadership Podcast world, all our listeners. We are back for day 2 of TEEX and have our first interview all set up for this morning. So we have 4 folks here from San Bernardino County. One who is one of the speakers, and then he has 3 company officers here with him. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves and kind of give their background, what brought them all the way down to Texas.
So my name's Cam Meeker. I'm one of the captains over at San Bernardino County Fire. We had the opportunity to volunteer to join Chief Muncie here at TEEX. It's just a good opportunity for us to come out, see what the rest of the nation is doing in leadership, how we can take that stuff and do what we do best and take that home and adopt it in our own organization. I'm part of our union, part of what we call Fire Scope in California, where I represent behavioral health and wellness for the Southern Districts of California and participate on our USAW program.
Hi, good morning. Jeremy Pendergraft. I'm a captain with San Bernardino County Fire Department. Here at TEEX because I always want to take advantage, and my department supports all the time getting involved with anything where we can learn new management and leadership skills. So I was grateful to be given the opportunity to come here. As far as at the department, I do consider myself a leader. Obviously, I'm a captain at the station, but I also lead several different groups within our department. I'm the program manager coordinator for our peer support team. I'm also a health and wellness coordinator for the department. On EMS committees, I'm on quite a few different committees within the department. So I enjoy coming to conferences like this to hear different opinions and different skills and stuff that I can take back to the department and use in my daily life and work within what I have to do in the department. So.
My name's Cody Schnoffer, engineer, paramedic with San Bernardino County Fire. My leadership journey started, as a paid call fireman. So coming to this and getting the opportunity is to advance and hone in on those skills, but also to help me become the mentor that mentored me over the years. So just leadership is involved in so many different aspects of this job from, my position as a telestaff administrator and coming up with policies and finding ways and the effects that it has on those around me. To being a VP for the local 935 for the Mountain Division and how that leadership translates into doing right by the members, to the background investigation unit, and how that is, being a leader in finding those that are coming in, but also to inspire those in our agency, to be more involved, become more proactive, and how they can start being a leader now. And that's my biggest takeaway in this opportunity is seeing that it doesn't matter what rank you are. Leadership starts with you. Change starts with you. And it doesn't matter what rank you are. It starts today.
Yes, you are speaking our language.
I'm Dan Muncie. I'm the fire chief for San Bernardino County Fire, and I'm totally blessed. We brought back a team of 7 and put it out to the organization to see who was interested, and then we selected these individuals to come and just a really wide background. We do this a couple of times a year. So we do different journeys, whether it's to Gettysburg or to different conferences. And we do it a little bit different than anybody else. We're not just here for the conference sessions. We literally are hanging out 24/7 together. We're seeing each other first thing for breakfast. We're going to sessions together, doing lunch together. We're talking about what we're learning. We have everybody divided up so they're going to different sessions. So not everybody's going the same session. Then at night we go to dinner and we bring in guest speakers that are here speaking at the conference to meet with us. Some of the TEEX leadership met with us last night. And then we go back to the hotel and with drinks, we have more conversations about a book that we're reading. It's called It's Your Ship. And I know that some of your other podcast guests talked about that book. And it's a great company officer starting your leadership journey, reinforcing who we are, talking about our culture, which really applies to our organization today. So really proud of these gentlemen who are coming. I want to emphasize a couple of things they said is leader in our organization, labor leader. He's on FireScope, which is a large committee that's looking not only at the incident command system, it's often credited for starting that, but in this case, there's a new element of that, FireScope as a subcommittee, and that's health and wellness. Kent's been leading there. Jeremy's been leading in many different parts of our organization since he was a firefighter and health and wellness specifically, but very engaged with our union and many other parts. Cody, he's been leading our organization since he started as a paid call and as an ambulance operator. There's a lot of ownership. And what makes me blessed is that I'm simply, well, Simon Sinek says it best. And I mentioned this quote yesterday. He says, the job of a leader is not to be in charge. A leader is charged with the health and welfare of the organization. And we take that approach in County Fire, really push it on all levels, is that a leader is there to support the organization, to set the vision, to nudge the organization, but certainly support the leaders that you're serving. And so my job's to be a leader of leaders.
Hey, Dan, can we get a quick rundown of your department, stations, personnel, kind of what it is you all do with the lay of the land and all that, just so we have a general idea, because here where I'm from, we have a lot smaller departments. Like my organization's 27 people. So it's a lot different. And when you look at big departments versus small departments, there's so many changes, a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences as well.
Yeah, so San Bernardino County is a metro agency. So we cover 20,000 square miles. So you can take, I think, the 4 or 5 smallest states in the union and put it within our border. It's large, a lot of wilderness area. It's mountainous terrain. So we border LA. So along that border in LA, there's about 1.5 million population, what we call the valley areas. It's very much like an urban environment that you would see anywhere. And then immediately north of that is mountain ranges that go to about 11,500 feet. And there's about 100,000 people that live in these beautiful mountains. It's the most heavily recreated, the most heavily visited forest in the United States, and that's the San Bernardino National Forest. We also have the Angeles National Forest in our jurisdictions. We have a lot of wildland fires. On the other side of that is a desert metroplex area of about 500,000 people. That's the Victor Valley area. And then it becomes very rural. And you literally can get in a fire engine. You can drive 1.5 hours code 3 and still be in our jurisdiction, not see another fire engine, not see another fire station. No communities. It's just freeways, deserts. In a 3-year period, we've had 26 train derailments in this area. We've had helicopter crashes. We have a lot of ATV, a lot of recreation that's out there, mine rescues. So the men and women are really active in these federal areas. And so it's a very different department that you could work on an urban fire engine and you're running. We have some of the busiest engines in the United States. They run about 8,000 calls per year. The busiest trucks pushing 6,000 trucks a year. And then you get in these rural stations where you may be running 2 calls a day, but your response times may be 1.5 hours just to get to the call. It's a very unique place to live, work, and play. You can be in our mountain communities and have snow. You can have a blizzard. And at the same time, you can have 110-degree heat and be fighting wildfire. So we have the largest fleet of snowcats in the nation, and we have a huge fleet of brush engines and water tenders. In total, we're 56 stations. Most of them are right there in that urban, and then it gets very rural as you progress towards the kind of the north side as you work towards Las Vegas.
That's wow.
Yeah. It's hard to wrap your mind around that.
It really is. It's like a whole episode. I want to pick your brain. Like that is just wild, the challenges that you face and then what's required of the personnel. So how big is your department personnel wise?
So we have about 1,200 members.
Oh, wow.
And we're growing. We're adding 21 new positions this year through Safer Grant. First Safer Grant we've had in about 15 years. So we're really excited about that. And the leadership team will be meeting with labor. We're very strong labor management fire department. We've really stolen a lot from Chief Brunacini in Phoenix years ago and brought that back to our organization. We'll be meeting with labor and we'll be talking about where these positions are going to go. Certainly it's based on standard to cover and where we believe the risk is, very metric driven. But we understand that these guys do the job every day. they know where the support's needed, and we have those conversations and decide where those are going to go. I like Cody to kind of talk about what it means to be a firefighter with our organization, because it is very different.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just in an urban environment. You really are challenged with the amount of knowledge, skills, and ability that you truly need to have and what's required.
Yeah, so being a fireman with San Bernardino, there's a lot of complexities, but with that come a lot of opportunities. So we have, a helicopter program, to having a USAR program, to hazmat, to ARF at an airport. There's so many complexities. It's a driving force in our organization for these new members to come in and have opportunities to go anywhere they want to go. With the size of our department, another piece to this is there's a place for everybody. You could, want to run a ton of structure fires, and that's your passion, and you just want to go to fire after fire, and you could go to San Bernardino City, and that's the environment you want to be in. Or you could want that, wildland aspect, and you're gonna gravitate more toward the mountains in the North Desert, where you have more of that interface. Or you want to get involved in a helicopter program, and you've always wanted to fly and be a helicopter medic. And there's opportunities for you to grow and advance that way. So for being a fireman in this organization, the opportunities are endless. And this job is what you put into it. There's nowhere you can't go. And that starts with making changes from the bottom, taking initiative, getting involved in more, and obviously having a great leader, which we have, that empowers young members to become involved and have these opportunities.
Can I come work for your department? It sounds pretty amazing.
I agree.
You guys are doing awesome stuff.
I want to drive the snowcat.
And I want to, we just talked about driving the organization from the bottom up, and it's true. Before I was a fire chief, there's a very famous story in our organization about James Salazar. And I'm going to ask Jeremy to tell this story to highlight kind of our mentality. We are bootstrappers. We don't have as much money as the surrounding counties, but we've never had that as a limiting factor. Tell the story about James and what he did.
Absolutely. I'd love to tell the story. We all love to tell the story of Captain James Salazar. I actually get to have a unique experience with the story because I was there, and we like to tell a lot of our organizations that have started within our department, we're kind of bootstraps. They started from the ground up. I remember being at a station, and James Salazar came to the station, and they were asking, because in our stations we have where we can collect cans and bottles. We recycle in all of our stations. He came and asked, instead of us turning that in, could he have those cans and bottles? And I said, well, what's going on? And they said, yeah, we're collecting cans and bottles because we're going to recycle these cans and get the money, and we're going to keep the money so that we can start our own hand crew program. We're going to buy chainsaws. We're going to buy all the different tools and everything that you need to start your own hand crew program. So he knew that if he wanted to have a program like that, it was going to start at a grassroots level, where he was going to have to reach out, see how he can take initiative, put all the infrastructure together, even down to what tools you were going to need, and then prove how he could put it together, financially fund it, and then took that to our upper levels of administration and management to show them the importance of it, the need. And it's a famous story within our department because it showed what somebody can do when they take initiative at what he considers himself a low level, that could inspire change within our organization. Now that little historical movement that he made translated into one of the most well-respected hand crew programs that we have within our department. It's a mark of pride within our department, and they do great work, and they get used throughout our county, through the state, and even nationally when they're needed. So just one person who took some initiative early on in their career.
So I want to point out, when James started this, he was a firefighter, and he recently retired as a captain. But these hand crews that he started, he refused to make it easy. He literally called the U.S. Forest Service and modeled their standards, and then had them come and inspect us to international hotshot standards. And a lot of local agencies around us, they used other less stringent standards. He chose the hard route. And he knew that he needed to do that in order to have respect in the wildfire community, and it worked. He ended up creating 2 Type 1 hand crews, which are the highest that you can get, typed to that standard. And then from there, now we're adding fuels crews. And then from there, we added 24/7 heavy equipment operators, so bulldozers and excavators. And then from there, we really branched into more using helicopters more efficiently for wildfire. So he just started that one crew that ended up being a wildland division. And Jeremy's right. People from across the state come and look at what James started, and now they're modeling these standards that he started as a firefighter. So as a leader, I wasn't the leader during this time, but I was with Jeremy. I remember the day James called me and said, hey, he literally said this. He goes, you have a lot of mustard on your red card, which is our qualification system. Can you help me do this? And I remember thinking, you're crazy. Okay. And you have to be a little crazy to work for county fire. Yeah. But I think that it makes us better when we have these leaders in all elements of the organization that are empowered to go out and do the right thing.
Yeah, it makes me think a lot about the word empowerment. And somewhere that culture is come into your organization. So any of you could answer, but like how, who brought about that, or how did you get a culture of where people feel really empowered, just take ownership of things like that and just the initiative?
Um, I think it can go back generations within our department. I was hired under Mark Hartwig. Chief Muncie was a battalion chief at the time. Watched him progress in his career. But even from that time, I remember fresh off probation, first year done, and sitting at a Swiftwater training. And I started discussing with who then was our BC in charge of our USAR program, Donnie Valoria, about the need for USAR canines and to be able to get on with a FEMA task force and be able to work with that. And I was I was told at that moment, if that's what you want, go do it. Um, since then, we have now partnered with Riverside Task Force 6. We are deploying with FEMA teams. We went to Lahaina and were able to assist with just the disaster that was the Lahaina fires. And we have then brought in other surrounding agencies into our USAR program and Regional Task Force 6, which serves the state of California in our OES program. But I was a year into my career and being told, yeah, if you want to start a program, go start a program. There was never a no. It was, if you want it, you need to do it. We're not going to do it for you, but you are free to go do it. Funding mechanisms are supplied as we prove that there's a need and that we put the legwork into actually developing programs. Uh, Chief Muncie had mentioned our labor management. Local 935, San Bernardino County Fire Association. We work closely with our management, meeting monthly with ops leadership to discuss problems in the department and have a unified front on how we are going to actually tackle these problems. So the union leadership and the department management are coming together to solve these problems and provide a unified front. Those things are allowing us to empower our youngest people and really increase retention, because as we start to talk about building programs and buy-in, and it goes right back to the book that Chief Muncie had us read. This is it's your ship. This is your department. Make it what you want it to be. And as we see all these guys, there's been a big generation gap in hiring, and there's going to be quite a vast number of retirements coming up soon. We have a new generation that's coming up, and they're taking ownership of this department, and where we go in the next 10, 20 years, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, and this new generation really wants to be a part of something that makes a difference, and what better place to work than a fire department, and especially a fire department that gives them the leeway and the empowerment to do so. You'll keep those people. You won't have the recruitment. You won't be as likely to have the recruitment and retention problems that are just rampant across the country. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, when it comes to your organization, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of good stuff going on. And as you prepare for these retirements that are coming up and this big changeover that's coming up, what are it's also good to look forward and the challenges that potentially you're going to face. What are some of those challenges? And are there anything, and this is more for the company officers here, what are the forecasts maybe on the challenges that you might be anticipating? And then any, things that you're putting together to combat those challenges? Are you already seeing what's potentially coming ahead? And then do you have any strategies in place to kind of combat some of those challenges that you think are coming? I know there's a lot to that question, but it's just very interesting. You know, you're preparing for a bunch of retirements, and there's just a lot of organization that's already hit that.
Yeah.
You know, and already have the very, very young organizations. So it's just interesting to hear just the basis of the foundation as an organization of what you're already doing, how to project and forecast what's going to happen, and the strategies in place to combat some of those challenges that might be coming.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, to speak from where we sit now as company officer level, we're obviously anticipating lots of cultural change and a different generation that's coming on. So we are preparing for it. I can tell you that for us, it starts, when we meet our new candidates for hire. We start there and we start educating them, and we come into their academies and we talk to them about how we are being responsive. We are listening, we are watching, we are seeing how to communicate with our newest generation coming in. We want to adapt to that. We're not resistant to change. We actually pride ourselves that we pay attention, and we want to work to change cultural stigmas. We want to adapt to new technologies. We want to adapt to new techniques. We're listening, and we're at conferences like this so we can hear some of the most, new education, new concepts, so that we can adapt those within our leadership principles, so that when we talk to some of our youngest generation, we're going to inspire them to do the same thing as the fire service progresses. So
Yeah, you guys should put together a class of what your department is doing and come present at these conferences and say, "Hey, this is what we're doing."
yeah, yeah.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Chief, you want to talk a little bit about your presentation, what you're speaking about while you're here?
Sure. San Bernardino is known as being one of the most innovative fire departments in the United States. And I'm blessed to have a workforce that is coming to us with new ideas, new techniques, new technology. We beta test a lot of technology, and some pretty wild technology. We work with researchers and university students that are coming out with, whether it's artificial intelligence. We just had a test in our backyard with a fully automated Black Hawk water dropping helicopter, just crazy things. Matter of fact, we tend to like the crazy ideas because there's something there that we can learn from. The presentation yesterday was on a firefighter's operational bill of rights. And in California, especially with labor management, we have the firefighter bill of rights as it pertains to investigation and disciplines. And we afford rights to our firefighters. It's very specific. If you're going to be investigation, this is how the notice is going to work. These are how the files are kept. This is very specific. But as I've been thinking about the future, and we vision the future a lot. As a matter of fact, I think we're one of the few fire departments in the nation that has a technology strategic plan that looks at the future, where we're going with technology, and then builds in those steps, 4 steps, the culture, the training, the infrastructure, and the funding required to get to that new future. As we've been thinking through this technology plan, started realizing that there is some operational bill of rights. There are things that we take for granted with technology that we should be giving to our firefighters. So if I went to any firefighter in the United States and I said, would you go into a structure fire, into an IDLH situation without an SCBA? They would say, absolutely not. Would you go in without full protective PPE? And they would say, absolutely not. Yet, what exists with technology that could save our firefighters' lives? So we gave several examples in that. For instance, I always talk about how my wife's been tracking me with friends and family since 2011. Yet when we have a Mayday, we're relying on that firefighter or his crew to give us the information that we need in order to find that firefighter. Why aren't we tracking our firefighters? The technology has been available for 15 years. Biometrics. I recently had a friend that I went to the fire academy with. He passed away from a cardiac event on a structure fire. Last week, our neighboring fire department, Riverside County, they had a cardiac arrest of a firefighter working on the roof. With biometrics, and most people are wearing smartwatches, your smartwatches literally can tell if you have an arrhythmia and call 911 why aren't we bringing that to the fire ground? So we're monitoring our firefighters in that IDLH that alerts us that this firefighter has a heat stress emergency or maybe a cardiac emergency. So we can take action to help those firefighters before they need help. So we highlighted several different examples of being able to provide heads-up displays, which is commercially available now, to be able to provide building pre-plans, to the use of common operating pictures so you know where your resources are in relationship to the hazards. These are things that are totally possible, 100% possible. We take for granted we can actually do it on our phone, yet we don't do it in the fire service. So I always think that our firefighters go to work and we use paper and pencil, and they expect no technology. But the moment that they get in their car and start driving away, they're tech wizards. What's the disconnect? And how do you fix that? So the presentation was on these things. And then I presented a challenge to the Texas Fire Service that these are the things that I believe you need to overcome. You need a statewide common operating picture. You need to track your firefighters' locations. You need to track your resource locations. You need to track the biometrics of your firefighters. And the final thing that I brought that's really important to these guys, especially with health and wellness, is we have critical incidents across our career, and it affects everybody differently. But with technology, we have the ability to tell how these incidents may be leading to your stress banks. I'll use that term. And when should we be monitoring our employees or perhaps asking them to go talk to a counselor so that they can debrief over the aggregate of these incidents that they're facing? So using technology to look a little bit more at the mental health to support our people even more.
Go. No, me. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds just wow. There's a lot going on in your organization. That's awesome. Real quick, I want to touch on all company officers. What are you in charge of? Truck, engine, squad, medic. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or the list. What primarily, given your county, what you're mostly responding to as well.
Okay, so regular duty days, I'm at Station 304 in the high desert in the city of Hesperia. We're a truck, engine, and ambulance. So I have a 2-man ambulance operator crew. It's a paramedic and an EMT riding on that. I've got a 3-man truck company that will be 4 once this next tower hits the floor, which will be in a couple weeks. And then a 3-man engine company as well. So my co-captain and I swap from the engine to the truck with our crews. We'll do 2 days on the truck, 2 days on the engine, moving back and forth. So we're actually specializing in both of those areas on the fire ground. But any given day, since I'm qualified for USAR, there's oftentimes that I'm working at a USAR station where we are cross-staffing a USAR rig, a Type 1 heavy rescue, and working on an engine responding to medical aids. But primarily myself in Hesperia, and then working down in the valley areas as well. We're mainly metro.
Okay.
So EMS calls and then frequent structure fires. It's not uncommon for us to have multiple structure fires in a day, especially in the city of San Bernardino.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm assigned to beautiful Station 22 up in Spring Valley Lake. It's a sub-community of Victorville, California, in Southern California. Take pride in covering that area. At that station, we have our Type 1 engine, and we just recently moved our Type 3 engine, a Type 1 engine for structure fighting, Type 3 for a brush engine, but we also have a hazardous materials unit there. We are all hazardous materials specialists at the station. Uniquely, we also have what is a OES hazmat unit, one of 12 in the state of California, is housed right there in Spring Valley Lake. So that's pretty unique, and we take pride in that as well. And we staff that with up to 8 hazmat specialists so that if there's a big emergency within the state, we can also be called out on a typical strike team, but for hazardous materials. So we do all of that out of my station. So.
I'm located at Station 91 in Lake Arrowhead, which is up in the San Bernardino County mountains. So depending on the time of year, there's a ton of different apparatus. So Type 1 engine, we do have ambulances. We do have medium rescue that we respond. So Station 91 is one of our rescue stations. To snow loaders, we have big heavy loaders for heavy snow removal, but that could be used in Snowmageddon. There's people trapped and we have to get through a berm to make access for a medical emergency or whatever that case may be. To snowcats, where in the winter, we will cross staff a snowcat so that we can make access in somewhere where our Type 1 engine isn't going to fit. To, the summer months where we have a fireboat that we also cross staff. There's multiple stations that can respond to it, so it's always available. We have, a private lake in Lake Arrowhead. It's rather large, but very small around the holidays. There's so many people. It's very heavily populated, and even though it's a decently sized lake, you get enough people on it, and it becomes very small very quick. So we start having watercraft emergencies, or maybe it's even a shoreline emergency, but there's, maybe 1 to 200 stairs to make access down. So that fireboat's going to be our best access. So the complexities, in the mountains versus the North Desert versus the city, each of them have their own unique little attributes.
So they mentioned that we also have aircraft rescue, the hazmat, the USAR, both the Task Force 6, which is a FEMA task force, and then the Regional Task Force 6, which is Cal OES. We have tactical paramedic programs. We have we cross-staff the air rescue with the sheriff, with a paramedic and a captain every day. We have 7 dogs, 2 arson dogs, and 5 care canines. We have a very active care team, which is more than just the critical stress debriefing. We're really, how many members do you have? 27? 50 now? 50 members? It's hard to keep track. It just keeps growing. These are 50 men and women organization that are trained, and they're constantly checking on the organization. Hey, how are you doing? And they'll get phone calls from the organization, whether it's family problems or maybe they had a problem on a call or they lost a loved one. They're going to reach out to our care team. But very active there. So it really is a very interesting department in the amount of services. And I always think, and I talk about the graduations, that if you're a city fire department, sometimes you're looking at 4 walls. And this is what you're going to do in your career. Here you can be down in our valley area and you literally could be running 20 some odd calls a day. You could be 2 or 3 structure fires a day, or you go to the mountains. We have stations in the mountains that run 1 call a day, maybe. And then when the snow comes, you may be running 30 calls. And then you could go to the North Desert and serve these beautiful desert communities. We have the Joshua Tree National Park within our borders and lots of rescues that are going on in the rocks. And then we have a specialized robotics program that we've been very active, and I think we're leading the way in how we've adopted robotics into our organization. Not only just the quadcopters, the first person view, but we're looking at fully automating. We're putting radar into San Bernardino, which has an international radar, an international airport, so we can deconflict the skies, put the drones in boxes so they autonomously fly to the calls. We've been beta testing that, integrating that information to our common operating pictures. We have ground robots and quadrupeds, and now we're putting aquatic robots onto our boats and to our USARs with the different channels and lakes and rivers. Lake Havasu's within our jurisdiction. So when we have drowning victims, we can quickly find them with using the cameras on the robotics with grappling arms and bring those victims to the surface. So a lot going on with different programs. If it was just coming from leadership, there's no way that we could ever keep up. It's because we have a lot of great men and women that are approaching us and saying, hey, we want to do something different. We are known as being one of the most innovative fire districts, and that helps with our culture because our men and women, they understand what got us here isn't going to get us there, and they want to continue to progress and lead.
Chief, one of your members mentioned you were a battalion chief. Did you come up through the organization?
I did. I started as a paid call firefighter in a 2-station fire department, and that 2-station fire department joined other fire departments, other fire districts, and we just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So been there for the ride.
Yeah, and it's interesting now, the culture of the fire service, and there's so many chief officers, upper level chief officers that are moving around. They're moving from one part of the country to another to promote up through the ranks. And, and I think some organizations think, I just need a new chief in here to fix all this. But to me personally, there's really something said about when you come up through an organization, not just because it's great when you can promote from within, but you understand the culture. And it would be so hard, to me, it's so hard to bring in someone at an executive level and then try to teach them the culture of your organization, because that's not on paper, that's a feeling. And so I think the departments that are doing a good job, it's
So,
that.
so you got me there. We actually have brought in executive level leadership, and purposely. The culture piece is always the hard one. So let me talk about this. Do you invest E-Trade, anything like that?
No.
401k?
Yeah.
Would you ever invest in a Fortune 500 company that never brought talent from the outside? Well, there is no Fortune 500 company that doesn't bring talent from the outside. And in the fire service, this can be blasphemy. You want to develop from within, and we certainly do. But sometimes you need to take the organization to the next level. So for an example, we brought in a wildland chief that we just didn't have the skill sets inside. And his mission is really since we hired him for 5 years, train the organization, what good looks like, build up the team, and get us to the point where he retires. We're ready to go. We brought in an administrative chief that we just weren't performing well with the trust transparency with our local government. The relationships, we're a California special district, which means that we're a quasi separate agency from our county. We're not a county department, yet we work almost as a county department. But to help us bridge that gap, and brought an ops chief that, as we were developing inside, we got to this point where there'd been too many retirees, and it was just too much of a stretch for the next person to make that jump. So in a very short time. So you do need to bring that in. The problem is always going to be culture. And if you've seen one culture, you've only seen one culture. There's millions of cultures out there in different fire departments. How do you bridge that? And you have to bridge it with labor management. There's some very good conversations in labor management as we're meeting as chiefs that say, hey, this is the culture on the floor. This is what this decision you're making, we understand, but understand how it's going to be perceived on the floor. When I say on the floor, is that a term you?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's kind of this back and forth. Now, today in our organization, do I expect to go outside and hire anybody? No. I think we have an incredible leadership team. I tell the board all the time, you can fire me, my fire board, you can fire me. I believe that there's 7 people in the organization that take my job. And now you're looking at the next year. And so we're spending a lot of time developing the future leadership, but we did have this gap with retirements all of a sudden happening, COVID, a lot of people left. And we just weren't prepared as an organization to take those next few steps in all the directions that we needed.
Yeah, that very, very well said, and I'm glad you brought that point up too. Yeah, and I think from my perspective as just a smaller organization, I don't have that background, but yeah.
Well, I see a lot of chiefs, they don't last very long. I think the lifespan, the career span of a fire chief's 3 years. And people ask me all the time, why is that? And I think, well, in 3 years, someone's either going to retire or they're going to be fired or they're going to look to go to another job. And I think that's a problem in the fire service in the United States. A lot of these 3-year chiefs, they just want to be popular so that they retire popular, they don't get fired, or that they're going to be able to go somewhere else. And so when you look at why is it 250 years of tradition unimpeded by progress, a lot of it is because the fire chiefs just want to tread water. It's hard to say, hey, this is the future, this is the vision. Let's develop the culture inside to be innovative, to move to this new future. You have budget constraints, you have political constraints, you have labor constraints, you have culture constraints. A lot of fire chiefs don't want to take that on. So it's amazing when you see some of the greatest chiefs in the nation are here in Texas. They're here at the leadership development. Les Stevens talked yesterday on stage, and man, just a powerful voice, and what he's saying on stage and who he is as a person is in alignment with everything. I've known the guy for a number of years. That's who he is. And so it's important for influential chiefs like that to get up there and talk to other chiefs and say, this is what good looks like. And this is a calling for us to be here. This is not a job. This is not a profession. This is not a career. This is a calling, and you are charged with something greater than yourselves. And this is where the fire service needs to go. So it's truly an honor to be here at TEEX. It's been an honor to sit down with you and to bring our team back. It's allowing us to develop that next set of future leaders. One of these guys is going to be a fire chief one day. There's no doubt in my mind. And so we appreciate the time with you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on the show and sharing all your wealth of knowledge and telling us all about your department. It's a lot to be said about what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the HC Leadership Podcast. Leadership isn't rank or title, it's how you show up. So go look in the mirror. Are you leading with purpose today? Keep reflecting, keep leading. Until next time.